I never expected that defending a stranger in a cafe would completely transform my life. As I watched her walk down the aisle toward me in her flowing white dress, tears streaming down my face, I couldn't believe that 6 months ago, we were complete strangers. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where it all began, on that rainy Tuesday when fate decided to intervene. The cafe was packed that afternoon, the rain driving everyone indoors. I was juggling my laptop, a stack of work files, and trying to keep my 7-year-old daughter Emma entertained while I finished an urgent project. Being a single dad and a marketing director wasn't easy, but we had our routine. What I didn't have in our carefully balanced life was room for romance, or so I thought. "Daddy, that lady looks sad," Emma whispered, pointing toward the counter where a woman stood, her shoulders slightly hunched as the barista and a customer exchanged glances and poorly concealed smirks. I wouldn't have noticed if not for Emma's observation, but once I looked, I couldn't look away. The woman had striking features, long silky white blonde hair cascading down her back, and carried herself with quiet dignity despite the obvious discomfort on her face. She was elegantly dressed in a tailored suit that complemented her perfect figure, but it was the vulnerability in her eyes that caught my attention. $28 for a few coffees? Must be nice having Daddy's money to throw around, the man behind her in line said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Playing dress-up as CEO must be fun at your age. The barista snickered, and I felt something inside me snap. Before I could think twice, I was on my feet. "Emma, stay right here with your coloring book. Daddy needs to help someone." What happened next would set in motion a chain of events I never could have predicted. Would I have still walked over if I'd known how completely this woman would turn my carefully structured world upside down? Or how the secret she was carrying would test everything I thought I knew about love? "Excuse me," I said, approaching the counter with what I hoped was casual confidence. "Is there a problem here?" The man, mid-40s, expensive watch, the kind of guy who thought wealth equaled worth, looked me up and down dismissively. "Just making conversation with the little girl playing business." The woman beside me stiffened. Up close, I could see she was probably in her early 30s, though her polished appearance and composed demeanor gave her a timeless quality. "Actually," I said, my voice carrying through the now quiet cafe, "I believe you were being incredibly rude to someone who's just trying to buy coffee. And from where I'm standing, she looks more professional than most CEOs I've worked with." The woman turned to me, surprise flickering across her face. Her eyes were a startling blue-gray, like the ocean after a storm. "Thank you, but I can handle this," she said quietly. "I'm sure you can," I replied with a smile. "But no." Emma waved enthusiastically from our table, and Sophia's professional mask slipped for a moment, revealing a genuine smile that transformed her face. "Your daughter is adorable," she said. "You two seem to have a special bond." "We're a team," I replied, feeling the familiar pride and love that always surfaced when I thought about Emma. "It's been just us since her mom left when she was 2. Something flickered in Sophia's eyes, recognition, perhaps, or understanding. "That couldn't have been easy." "It wasn't," I admitted. "But we figured it out. Listen, would you like to join us? Emma's got enough coloring books to entertain a small army, and I could use a break from spreadsheets." Sophia hesitated, glancing at her watch. "I really shouldn't. I have a board meeting in an hour, and I need to review some numbers." "All the more reason to take 15 minutes to breathe," I countered, surprising myself with my persistence. There was something about her that intrigued me, a complexity behind her composed exterior that I wanted to understand. "Daddy always says that breaks make your brain work better," Emma chimed in, having approached us without my noticing. "You can color with me if you want. I have purple, it's the best color." Sophia looked down at my daughter, and I watched as her professional reserve melted completely. "Well, when you put it that way, how can I refuse an offer of the best color?" The three of us settled at my table, Emma immediately showing Sophia her coloring technique while I cleared away my work. What started as 15 minutes stretched into half an hour of conversation that flowed with surprising ease. "So, you're really a CEO?" I asked, keeping my voice casual. Sophia nodded, a hint of defensiveness returning. "Yes, of Horizon Innovations. I was appointed 6 months ago." "That's impressive," I said sincerely. "I've heard great things about Horizon's new direction." "Not everyone thinks so," she replied, her fingers absently tracing the lid of her coffee cup. "Being 34 and female in a tech company comes with challenges. Like jerks in coffee shops?" She laughed, the sound unexpectedly light and musical. "Among other things. The board took a risk appointing me. Some days I wonder if they're regretting it." "I doubt that," I said. "From what I've read, your quarterly results are speaking for themselves." She looked at me with new interest. "You follow tech company financials?" "I'm a marketing director at Pinnacle Media. Part of my job is keeping tabs on potential clients and industry trends." "Pinnacle?" Her eyebrows rose. "We've been looking for a new marketing partner. Our current agency doesn't understand our vision." And just like that, a professional opportunity materialized out of nowhere. But as Emma showed Sophia her favorite coloring page and I watched this powerful, vulnerable woman engage completely with my daughter, I realized I was interested in much more than just a business connection. What I didn't know was that Sophia was harboring a secret that would soon test not just our growing attraction, but my deepest beliefs about family, sacrifice, and what it means to truly love someone. "I should go," Sophia said suddenly, glancing at her watch. "My meeting." "Of course," I said, helping gather her things. "But maybe we could continue this conversation? Professionally, I mean. I have some ideas that might align with Horizon's new direction." Sophia hesitated, then reached into her purse and handed me her card. "Email me your portfolio. If it's as impressive as your coffee shop rescue skills, Pinnacle might be exactly what we need." As she turned to leave, Emma tugged on her sleeve. "Are you coming back to color with me again?" The question hung in the air between us, loaded with more meaning than my daughter could possibly understand. Sophia knelt down to Emma's level. "I'd like that very much," she said softly, then looked up at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "If it's okay with your dad." "It's more than okay," I replied, our eyes locking in a moment of connection that sent an unexpected current through me. After she left, Emma looked up at me with the innocent wisdom only children possess. "Daddy, your face is all red. Do you have a fever?" I laughed, ruffling her hair. "No, sweetie. I'm perfectly fine." But I wasn't fine. For the first time since Emma's mother walked out, I was feeling something I'd sworn I'd never allow myself to feel again. And it terrified me. If you're feeling that connection between Alex and Sophia too, hit the like button and share this video with someone who believes in fate and second chances. The next 2 weeks were a whirlwind. My proposal to Horizon Innovations landed me in Sophia's office for a formal presentation, which led to Pinnacle securing a major contract. Professionally, it was a triumph. Personally, it was torture, being in meetings with Sophia, watching her command a room with quiet authority, noticing the small details like how she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was thinking deeply or how her eyes lit up when discussing innovation. "Your ideas for our rebrand are exactly what we've been looking for," she told me after our third meeting. "The board is impressed." "Just the board?" I asked, allowing a hint of flirtation to enter my voice. A slight blush colored her cheeks. "The CEO is particularly impressed," she admitted. In fact, she was wondering if the marketing director might be available for dinner this weekend. To discuss the campaign details, of course. "Of course," I echoed, my heart racing. Though I should mention that the marketing director is a package deal. He has a 7-year-old assistant who's been asking when she can color with you again. Sophia's face softened. "I was hoping you'd say that. How about Saturday?" I know a restaurant with excellent food and an even better children's menu. Saturday arrived with a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. Emma was ecstatic, changing her outfit 3 times before settling on her favorite purple dress. "Do I look pretty, Daddy?" she asked, twirling in front of me. "The prettiest girl in the world," I assured her, fighting back the familiar pang of wishing her mother had stayed to see moments like this. Dinner was surprisingly comfortable. Sophia had reserved a private corner table at an upscale but child-friendly restaurant, and she'd brought a new coloring book for Emma, one about famous women in science and business. "This is so cool!" Emma exclaimed. "Look, Daddy, this lady invented computer programming." Ada Lovelace, Sophia explained. She was brilliant at a time when women weren't supposed to be interested in mathematics. As Emma colored, Sophia and I talked, really talked. About our work, our passions, our challenges. She told me about the pressure of being a young female CEO, the constant need to prove herself. "That guy in the cafe, he wasn't the first and won't be the last," she said. "I've been called everything from little girl to diversity hire in boardrooms." "Their loss," I said. "From what I've seen, you're the real deal." She smiled, but there was hesitation in her eyes. "There's something I should tell you, Alex. Something that might change how you see me." My stomach tightened. Here it comes, I thought. The revelation that would complicate everything. Was she married? Moving away? Not interested in men? Before she could continue, Emma spilled her water, momentarily distracting us both. By the time we'd cleaned up the mess, the moment had passed, and Sophia had retreated behind a more casual conversation. As we walked her to her car after dinner, Emma skipping ahead, Sophia turned to me. "I had a wonderful time tonight." "So did I said, gathering my courage. "And I'd like to do it again. Just the 2 of us next time. If you're interested." She looked up at me, vulnerability and something else, fear, in her eyes. "I am interested, Alex. Very much so. But there's something in my life that makes dating complicated. I'm a single dad," I reminded her gently. "I wrote the book on complicated." She laughed softly. "Fair point. Okay, yes. I'd like that." When I leaned in to kiss her goodnight, it was gentle and brief, but it sent electricity through my entire body. As she drove away, Emma returned to my side and slipped her small hand into mine. "I like her, Daddy," she said simply. She makes you smile the real way, not the pretend way." Out of the mouths of babes. Our first real date was magical. Dinner at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the city, conversation that flowed effortlessly, and a connection that deepened with every passing minute. When I kissed her goodnight at her door, neither of us wanted it to end. "Come inside," she whispered against my lips. "Just for a little while." Her apartment was exactly what I'd expected, elegant, minimalist, with touches of warmth in unexpected places. What I hadn't expected was the photograph on her mantel, Sophia holding a baby, her face radiant with love. She followed my gaze and took a deep breath. "This is what I've been trying to tell you, Alex. I have a son. His name is Ethan. He's 5 years old." The revelation hung in the air between us. A child. Sophia had a child. "Where is he?" I asked, my voice gentle. Her eyes filled with tears. "With my parents in Chicago. When I took the CEO position, the hours were impossible. I was working 18-hour days, traveling constantly. My parents offered to take him temporarily, just until I got established." She wiped at her eyes. "That was 6 months ago. I fly out every other weekend to see him, but it's not enough. The board doesn't know, they'd never have appointed me if they knew I was a single mother." The pain in her voice was unbearable. I pulled her into my arms, holding her as she finally released the grief and guilt she'd been carrying alone. I'm bringing him home next month, she continued. I've restructured my leadership team, delegated more. I'm ready now. But I'm terrified, Alex. What if I've damaged our relationship? What if I can't balance everything? What if the board finds out and pushes me out? I tilted her face up to mine. Then you'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. She whispered, hope and fear mingling in her eyes. If you'll let me, I said. Emma would love having a friend. And I hesitated, then decided to be completely honest. I'm falling in love with you, Sophia. Your son is part of who you are. She kissed me then, with a passion that took my breath away. That night changed everything, not just because we made love for the first time, but because we both took a leap of faith that our broken pieces might fit together to create something beautiful. If this story is touching your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories that explore the complexities of love, family, and second chances. The next month was a whirlwind of preparation. Sophia transformed her home office into a bedroom for Ethan, and Emma helped pick out toys and books she thought he might like. We had video calls with him and Sophia's parents, easing the transition. What if he doesn't like me? Sophia confessed her deepest fear the night before she was due to fly to Chicago. What if he prefers staying with my parents? He loves you, I assured her. That was obvious from the call. He's just a little boy who misses his mom. When they returned, I was waiting at the airport with Emma, holding a welcome home sign she had decorated with superhero stickers. The moment Ethan saw his room, filled with things chosen especially for him, his initial shyness began to melt. Emma says you make the best pancakes, he told me solemnly over dinner that night. Is that true? The absolute best, I confirmed. With chocolate chips shaped like dinosaurs. His eyes widened. Can I have some tomorrow? Only if you help mix the batter, I said, winking at Sophia, who was watching us with tears in her eyes. Integrating our families wasn't without challenges. Ethan had nightmares for the first few weeks, terrified his mother would send him away again. Emma struggled with sharing attention. Sophia battled guilt and the demands of her position. And then came the crisis that nearly broke us apart. 3 months into our relationship, a board member discovered Sophia's secret. The emergency board meeting was called on a Friday afternoon. By Friday evening, Sophia was facing an ultimatum: step down as CEO or face a vote of no confidence. They say I misrepresented myself, she told me, pacing my living room after the children were asleep. That having a young child makes me unreliable. That my deception raises questions about my judgment. That's discrimination, I said, anger burning through me. And possibly illegal. It doesn't matter. 3 board members are already aligned against me. If it goes to a vote, I'll lose. She stopped pacing, her face resolute despite the tears in her eyes. I'll resign on Monday. I won't put Ethan through another separation. He needs stability now. So you're just giving up? I asked, unable to hide my disappointment. The Sophia I know would fight. You don't understand, Alex. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about Ethan, about us, about the future we're trying to build. Exactly, I said, taking her hands in mine. Which is why you can't let them win. You're the best CEO that company has ever had. The quarterly results prove it. And being a mother doesn't make you less capable, it makes you more compassionate, more forward-thinking, more invested in creating a better world. She looked at me, doubt warring with determination in her eyes. Even if I fight, I might lose. Then you lose knowing you stood up for what's right. For yourself, for Ethan, for every parent trying to balance family and career. That weekend, we formulated a plan. I called in favors from media contacts, preparing a story about discrimination at the highest levels of tech. Sophia gathered performance data and testimonials from her leadership team. And on Monday morning, she walked into that boardroom not as a woman afraid of losing her job, but as a CEO ready to transform her company. If you're invested in Sophia's fight against corporate discrimination, hit that like button and share this video to support working parents everywhere. Gentlemen, she began, her voice steady as she addressed the board. I understand you have concerns about my personal life. Let me address them directly. Yes, I am a mother. I have a 5-year-old son named Ethan. And yes, I made the painful decision to temporarily place him with my parents while I established myself in this role. She laid out her accomplishments, the 30% revenue increase, the successful product launches, the improved company culture. I didn't disclose my status as a parent because it wasn't relevant to my qualifications. And frankly, because I knew some of you would react exactly as you are now. She paused, making eye contact with each board member. But I'm done hiding. I'm a mother and a CEO. I excel at both roles, not despite having a child, but partly because of it. She placed a folder in front of each of them. This contains 2 things. My comprehensive strategy for the next fiscal year, which projects a 45% growth rate. It also contains a press release drafted by Pinnacle Media about how Horizon Innovations is leading the way in supporting working parents, starting with its CEO. The tension in the room was palpable. The choice is yours, gentlemen. We can be known as the company that fired a highly successful CEO for being a mother, or as the company that's revolutionizing how the tech industry supports working parents. The oldest board member, Harold Jenkins, who had been silent until now, cleared his throat. Ms. Reeves, when we appointed you, I had reservations about your age, not your gender. I was wrong. You've proven yourself exceptionally capable. He looked around the table. I move that we not only retain Ms. Reeves as CEO but that we implement her proposed parental support initiatives company-wide. The vote was 7-2 in her favor. When she called me with the news, I could hear the triumph in her voice. We did it, Alex. They're not just keeping me on, they're funding an on-site childcare center and flexible work arrangements for all employees with families. I never doubted you for a second, I told her, my heart swelling with pride and love. That night, we celebrated with the children, making pizza from scratch and building a blanket fort in the living room. As Ethan and Emma giggled together, Sophia leaned against my shoulder. Thank you for believing in me, she whispered. For showing me I didn't have to choose between being a mother and being successful. You never had to choose, I said, kissing her forehead. You just needed someone to remind you that you're extraordinary at both. 6 months after that rainy day in the cafe, I asked Sophia to marry me. We were at the park, watching Emma and Ethan play on the swings, when I turned to her with the ring I'd been carrying for weeks. I never thought I'd find love again, I told her, my voice thick with emotion. But you and Ethan have completed our family in ways I never imagined possible. Will you marry me, Sophia? Will you let me spend the rest of my life standing up for you, believing in you, loving you? Her yes was immediate, her kiss passionate, and the children's cheers when we told them were deafening. Our wedding was small but perfect, Emma as flower girl, Ethan as ring bearer, both of them beaming with joy as they gained an official new parent and sibling. And as I watched Sophia walk down the aisle toward me, radiant in her flowing white dress, I marveled at how defending a stranger in a cafe had led to this moment of perfect happiness. Life isn't always easy. We still face challenges, balancing careers and family, helping the children navigate their blended family, finding time for just the 2 of us. But we face it all together, stronger because of the obstacles we've overcome. Sophia continues to break barriers at Horizon Innovations, now recognized as one of the most family-friendly employers in the tech industry. I've started my own marketing consultancy, with flexible hours that allow me to be there for school pickups and soccer games. Emma and Ethan have become inseparable, co-conspirators and best friends. And every year, on the anniversary of that rainy day, we return to the cafe where it all began. We sit at the same table, order the same drinks, and remember how a moment of kindness changed everything. Sometimes the greatest love stories begin in the most unexpected places. Sometimes standing up for what's right leads you exactly where you're meant to be. And sometimes, the family you build is even more beautiful than the one you imagined. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that second chances are always possible. Let me know in the comments which country you're watching from. I'd love to know how far this story of love and courage has traveled. Remember, the most meaningful connections often begin with a simple act of kindness. Who knows? Your life-changing moment might be waiting just around the corner.